Is that a mechanical flying past? Again? Islam Chuvam Chumvai. Crossroad. That's where I live. It can be heard.
Wat speelt dat er, Neske?
There, down the hill.
Is er niet daar? Nee, zijn we bottelen.
Around the clock.
I slept a lot today. I've been working on a new project, something that I haven't done before. Работа нещо ново. Никакво такова не съм направила преди. Е много интересно. It's very interesting.
Работам сама.
But I don't know what I'm doing.
Истинска.
Е толкова ново, че не знам точно какво правим.
Dulpa. Chas. Following the path of inspiration and of learning. Accelerated learning. Hermit mode.
Сега въздуха е някак си тежко. Така преди да падне дъжд.
Само че дъжд няма да падне.
Исках да показвам за Василка и как ние правихме дрехи.
Тя беше мираклия, аз плат. И око познава красота.
Тя шише за нея и за мене. И аз помагвах с това. Ние имахме малка машина, синга. Без това за крак. Трябваше да въртиш така на страната. Аз въртах и тя шише.
It sat on the table. I threaded the needles. Made clothes for my doll tribe.
Тя много не искаше аз да учам как да шиям. Ама не можеше да ми спре така. Before the new season, and in those days, fashion was a seasonal thing.
Evropa, 6 mesecina pret.
We would go to town with a little notebook and rummage through all the shops.
The most fashionable.
And we'd say, oh, that's a lovely neckline. Oh, let's jot that down. That sleeve is good. They don't look good with that neckline on you. Това ще седи хубаво на тебе. И така, знаехме точно какво ще шиеме. We went to the shop where they sell fabrics. We made our choice.
Vasilka had the final ruling, of course.
Отидахме дома. I taka imach mena malka sunka kakois kamedana prime. Vasilka, she zemi vesnici. I ut vesnicite, she ne prae pattern. Zakakwa, she regime ut plata.
Taka unhaina chalo. She didn't want to teach me. Kak sichkuza znаю.
Vasilka's nice and nogurabuti. Cut the pry.
Imisha uko. Beshe mirror clear. Ias nogurabu. Ias nogu bichachtufa.
Ci prajmen nashti drehi.
Aznaya. Ako Vasilka haresa neshtu. I asko haresam. Tugavo etu desno.
It was a very difficult concept, one that she wasn't sure about, or configuration. She would get an old sheet, and she would firstly cut it out on the old sheet and kind of pin it together. I had to stand still
For ages.
and it would be pinned on me.
I was not allowed to move.
And then she'd do some transfer trick with the pins.
She had the pins.
And then cut it out. Or, yeah. That was her block.
Adaptation.
She made me some beautiful dresses that I used to wear to school. I had a different one for each day of the week.
I remember them so well. Naughty birdies. About to be tongue-tied again.
And there were standout points. Like one day, I wanted to go to school wearing a dress. I mean, after all, it was springtime.
The sun was shining really brightly. There was a breeze, and it was a southerly, granted.
She wanted me to wear wool pants, long ones. I didn't really like those wool pants. They used to chafe my inner thighs. I insisted on a dress. She said, you have to wear pants if you want to wear the dress. I said, all right, I will. Give them to me. Well, I went to school and everybody made fun of me.
1961.
I was just in beginner's grade.
Must have been 1960.
Now it's all the rage. Everybody wears pants underneath dresses, for God's sake.
And have done so for decades. Historically, it was a fundamental core of costume. Chalvari, pantaloons, leggings, you name it. Big time Hollywood, I think. Change that. Let's not forget Carnaby
Там
Street.
трябваше да носиме дрехи, като трябва да купуваме дрехи специално за училище.
Zamuchi.
But after a while, it was a girls' school. I was so relieved to get into a girls' school. Boys are just... For another turn. It was a girls' school. And pretty soon, us girls decided to...
A little group of us.
Make substitute uniforms.
We were like-minded regarding comfort.
School uniform was the pits.
Particularly the winter one.
Very bad. Uncomfortable.
Ugly.
So we made organised, like something that looked like the school uniform, but actually wasn't. And we went along like that.
Surreptitiously.
And
satisfaction through comfort.
I had a very traumatic experience at one point.
I was nearly 14.
And Vasilka felt a bit guilty about that. Yeah. She felt guilty. Никой път не показва за това каквото стана там. Не на времето. И после един път така наближавахме на това. Беше след
The years they aggregate.
25 години.
Не, 20 години.
Тя беше на грешка. She felt a bit guilty.
That was an understatement.
And I was into history. И аз много се интересувах с дрехи. И аз исках да носам работи различни, да пробвам как се чувстват.
От предишни време.
She made exactly what I wanted.
Не исках само какво
For years.
се намира в магазините.
It's devotion.
Determination.
I repaid
The pledge.
Daba.
The gift.
In the years before her death.
Supplied wardrobe.
When her husband, Chiron, my father, was insisting on making her suffer, not wanting her to have any comforts.
He was into torture and punishment if crossed.
He turned out to be as cruel as his father.
Certainly a case of eating too much dead animal.
На последните години на това време, колко години,
The dead animal in us.
The dead animal
accrues
in us
with age.
Аз бях 55 годишна. И аз
Artisan.
дрехи. Почти цялото живот I made.
Created thousands of garments.
И на това време
As an artisan.
аз си дадах моята идея от дрехи и тя избра каквото хареса.
Само клетки.
Тя живеше в един дом за тези стари хора.
Далече от мене.
Киро я сложи там. Когато видя, че няма да умре веднага.
3 часа да отивам и да се върнам дома. Да съм с нея.
Един ден с моите дрехи, само техно. И аз гледах гардероба, това всичко, как беше организирано, аз го правих, защото аз бях там 5 дена от 7.
Плетки не са за машина.
2 дена трябваше да работя. И по никой път не бяха заедно, защото Василка не можеше да крепи без мене за 2 дни. Не ставаше. Тя беше на печета, ако не бях там за 2 дни.
Нервна, ядосана.
Мъчно
да се намери доволство. Нейното. Да знае, че някой я обича. Златка. Нейната дъщеря.
Някой дойде. Киро изпрати. My father. Киро изпрати тези жени да дойдат. И едната, тя знаеше Василка от дълго време. Те живееха на същото место, там в Истанбул. Тя беше жена, който не подавава сърцето много. Повече мисли с главата. И знае от предишно време, че мъжете държат силата. И тя така отива насам. Дойде той ден.
This particular personage.
This woman came and she said to Vasilka, "Why are you wearing those clothes?" Vasilka said, "Because I like them and they're comfortable." That was a beautiful compliment from my mother for me. I was standing close by.
I said nothing. There was nothing to be said.
I had to leave Australia. I left as soon as I could.
I was 18. Forgiveness on hold.
Went to New Zealand.
За 7 години.
Новия Зеландия. Новия Зеландия. Езика ми.
Не съвърти. Нова Зеландия.
И там живеех на едно диво место. За 4 години. Смислям, че първата зима беше студено. И аз не съм свикнала да живеем на диво место.
Студено диво место.
Водата замръзна в пайпс.
Мокучи донесат вода от реката по-нагоре на къща.
И беше далече от всекъде.
Чудесно место, къде Гая тича свободна. Аз се влюбих с нея, далече от град. Там е намерих.
Аз се мръзвам.
Солено огледало около склон.
Един ден приятел, който живееше там в същата къща с мене, бяхме 4.
Тая зима.
Той не беше много добре. С гърдите. И почти седяше отгоре на огъня. И тогава се изчуди, когато 3 часа и ще бъде много по-студено скоро, той тръгна за една тълпа. Когато се върна, беше тъмно. И аз го гледах. Аз знаех. Той беше имаше голяма къл. Той знаеше много работи.
Различни работи.
И доста задържаше в себе си. Така, телото му much share color.
So here we are. Took us in the mirror, Inished us in the mirror.
He took a piece of wood, straight, long-ish, finger width.
Thick finger.
He sharpened one end, and the other end, he put a notch into it. By this time, he had my full attention. He did. He had my full attention. But not openly. From the corner of my eye, I watched.
Events transpire.
Then he went over to where we kept the potatoes.
Potatoes?
What? Chose a potato, and then he drove that piece of wood through its heart. I was shocked.
Stunned.
Does a potato have a heart? Through its centre.
First go.
From his pocket, he took a string, tied it around the upright portion, wound it around, did a half hitch through the notch, over the notch, pulled out all this wool. All this wool. From his sack. He'd been to the next door neighbours, the farmers, and got some wool out of the wool shed.
This very afternoon.
Well, he started turning that wool into thread.
He didn't say a word. He didn't have to. I remember. No one's saying anything about saying anything.
It cracked open my brain. Here I was, freezing for the most part. And all the time, the raw material was running around the hillsides, all about me. And I'd been walking past these sheep for a long time.
City girl getting an education.
Well, he
Wildfire
not
in the
only fired
grass.
at my imagination. All the women around just got into it. But John, Saratoga John,
As he was known in the wider community,
he made a hat for himself. Such a clever person. He knitted it and then crocheted it.
the trimming.
With the thread. Very thick thread. He'd spun from the wool on the potato spindle.
Can I believe it? Unbelievable. Hilarious. Inconceivable. To me, it was.
There was another amazing feature about John. Truly, truly inspirational. We often went out on boats.
No roads
And most
there.
of us, we didn't really know about boats. Boats are something that you learn as you grow up. It's like a language. You have to be in tune with the sea. the ignorant fall off the cliff real quick. That's the Gaia for you.
Knowledge is protection, power.
So one day we decided to go off to the other side.
The chocolate.
In this little boat, Fred.
Wooden boat. Very cute boat.
I think it was 10 foot or 9 foot. I'm not sure. Before it got renovated by Gifford.
Toi nogo pitcher chocolate.
And on the way back, the engine stopped in the middle of nowhere. Absolutely nowhere in the middle. But John, he had this amazing knack. He could get something working just long enough for a safe harbour. His pockets were full of bits and pieces, bits of wire, unusual things, string, you name it. He had it in his pockets.
Objects found on his travels.
And it was late in the afternoon. We didn't want to be out here in the middle of the night. But with a bit of cussing and swearing and a few interruptions, we made it back. And that, I think, was the engine had to go for an overhaul after that.
Porch was a niqui.
When I learnt to spin, it changed everything. Absolutely everything.
John, thank you. Teshakuritan.
Because knit is fluid.
Discoveries. Many of them.
And woven fabrics
Intrinsically
are not. You have to treat the woven fabric
it's all about surface area.
as
Topography. Weave is linear.
as a casing of the body, whereas knit
It's all about volume.
Knit adjusts to the body.
It can adjust because it's a system of interlooping, not straight lines forward and back. Loopings relent.
You can feel free in knit.
No hardship if volume changes.
I've been making
Tricotage,
knitted
sekiden.
clothes
Awesome.
for decades. Sometimes getting paid for it, sometimes not. Always developing garments that will interact with the environment.
Humanitarian.
In a positive way, protective, but intrinsically
Soothing. Joyful. Very kind.
holistic, beautiful, aesthetic.
Of Gaia with the knowledge of a lifetime. And the love. Knit allows for structure to be within.
We are constantly intimate with our clothes.
With the maker able to control the flow. Textile is the human paradigm. We take it for granted.
Skin.
We ignore it. And the body, so plakvat. Ako neudobno. We live in cloth.
Textiles.
Sleeping in cloth. Permeate.
Penetrate our consciousness.
Are you glad Rag's giving you help?
After all, you don't want your clothes to say to you, "No, don't lift your arm up. You might split my seam here."
Don't bend over Or like expose your ass.
Oh, you've pulled me out of my belt. I've got an overhang of 20 centimetres.
Who said you could lift your arm up like that?
I have to tuck it in.
Hurry up, tuck me in.
I
feel it's so easy to get rude when trapped in bad cloth. I get angry if hassled by my clothes.
When I was little,
I want good vibes.
A little and a teenager, when there was a big event, I used to think about it and work out what I was going to wear and this and that, and I'd pick the newest things.
Expecting good vibes.
But then when I got there to the event, it wasn't long before I felt uncomfortable in those new shoes. When I felt that dress was a little bit too tight in the armpit, I just kept thinking about not being able to move very much.
Is that how I'm supposed to live my whole life? My jammies, I need them.
I wasn't going to do that.
Where did the love go?
Another way.
Iskam svoboda. I set the intention. It took years. Became a life path.
The night is falling fast now.
Crickets are singing. Etanosigia. Singing for a while.
Look at their hair. T'es secure them.
Merci. Thank you. Look at their hair.
The smith of Walney. Lekanosh.
Everyone can be loved by their cloth. John caught a big fish and he loves that hat. His hat loves him. Helped him catch that snapper. Big snapper. Kept his brain warm while he figured out how to catch that snapper. Yes. A snootje goed vesilka. A kuiskish. Travata provish. De vidish kakwashstane. A seki provo. Povichus and ultra. Da vanno. Textiles are ephemeral. They return to Gaia. Few enter the archaeological record. Recently, I have understood that all handmade textiles are technically esoterica and naturally so. And also, I just love beads. They are so beautiful and useful as well.